Hi, welcome to SBR Videos. I'm Peter Loshak. This is the Oddly Enough show that we do every week with Swingin' Johnson, where we take a look at some off-court shenanigans, rumors, and gossip and happenings, and try to figure out if that might have any effect on possible betting value one way or another with future bets in the future. Swingin' Johnson, thanks for being back with us.
Loshak, my brother rubbing on the who, my brother rubbing on the wah, my brother rubbing on the wah. Today we are talking Phil Mickelson's high finance follies, along with Rory McIlroy's dumping of his smoking hot fiancée right before the U.S. Open. I can't wait to get at it, baby.
Wow, that was actually very entertaining, Swingin' Johnson. I like that.
Thank you very much.
Go with that in the future. All right, yeah, we're going to talk about a lot of stuff that's been going on that might impact the U.S. Open. First, let's talk about the Spurs rolled over OKC, so that put the kibosh on Kevin Durant winning Finals MVP, huh?
Well, that certainly did, man. I thought we had our mojo going along there, but Spurs, I mean, you just cannot count them out. It's just all about team play with them. I mean, granted, Tony Parker, Tim Duncan, they've got the goods, but these guys are getting older, you know? Yeah. I remember watching Duncan in '95 with Wake Forest, and he's still kicking around in 2014 and getting the job done, Loshak.
Yeah, there were people speculating that the NBA wanted to rig the game for OKC just to get, a big Game 7, and they said that that the Spurs are so good that they outplayed the rig. And if that's true, then I think that the Spurs on the series, anything you bet on Kevin Durant winning the MVP, you could make back easily just by betting on the Spurs to win the series.
Oh man, I'll tell you what. Yeah, they are minus 130 in the series. Yeah. So yeah, that's where they are. And as good as the Heat is and can be, you just feel like the Spurs have that grittiness, that determination, that consistency, unlike the Heat that can just absolutely be the best team you ever saw in your life.
Right.
And then the next night just feel they were almost disinterested.
Absolutely. All right, well, let's get down to this U.S. Open stuff. We might have something here that might indicate value. For those who don't follow golf, Rory McIlroy, one of the inarguably best golfers in the world, he's actually the favorite to win the U.S. Open now that Tiger Woods is out. And he, of course, had a huge, sort of high-profile, controversial breakup with tennis star Caroline Wozniacki, and they were supposed to be married, and then he called it off, and there was all this shenanigans about how he just broke it up over the phone, 3 minutes and stuff like that. And the initial fallout was that Rory McIlroy played very well right after the breakup, but there are some signs that McIlroy might be suffering for some buyer's remorse, and we might want to bet against him in the U.S. Open. What do you have to say about this, Swingin' Johnson?
Well, Rory McIlroy, I've seen this guy's face 100 and 1,000 times before. I've seen guys look just like him. Right. He's about he's an average-looking guy. He's like a 6 on a scale of 1 to 10. And, but every single guy that I've seen that looks like Rory McIlroy, not one has had a smoking hot piece of tail on his arm. And I got to tell you something, man. I don't know if you've really checked out this girl, Caroline Wozniacki.
Oh, yeah. No.
She just doesn't lie there in bed like some fashion model who tells you not to muss up her hair while you're in bed grunting and groaning and making crazy faces. She bangs, Loshak. She's a friggin' athlete. I'm telling you right now.
Yeah.
But, getting back to McIlroy, I think he thought this was kind of going to be under wraps and under the radar, but she's kind of taken the whole thing public. And I'll tell you, I don't think this can be any good for his psyche at the U.S. Open. You were talking about, his play recently. I know in the Memorial, he in the first day, I think he shot like a 63. Unfriggin' believable. But in the third day, I think when this thing hit, he shot a 78.
Yes.
Ultimately came in tied for 15th, I think, in that particular event. But he's playing in the St. Jude Classic this week. And kind of an interesting stat. If he does win, then you've got to keep in mind that no player has ever won a PGA Tour event followed the next week by the U.S. Open.
Yeah, for sure. And this is exactly what the show's about, right? The show's about how these guys are, world-class athletes, the absolute tops in the world in terms of their sport, but then in their personal lives, they're just as big idiots and schmoes as you and me and everyone we know. And we have seen this a million times, right? A guy, especially a guy who has a little bit of status or whatever, has a girl, looks around, breaks up with her, and at first he's like, this is great, I'm feeling free. And then after a couple weeks, he starts to, and then he sees pictures of the girl like partying it up and DJing and all that crap. And then all of a sudden, he starts to have buyer's remorse, wants her back, maybe thinks he made the wrong decision. She doesn't want him back. She's off wherever she is on the beach, in Bermuda, in Barbados, in a club, wherever she is. And then all of a sudden, the guy's head is completely scrambled. Now he doesn't have his old girl. Now he's too messed up to get any new girls. And his life takes a dive for a little bit. We might be seeing that with Rory McIlroy here. What do you think?
You've felt this pain, haven't you?
I've not only felt it, I've witnessed it countless times in friends,
you felt
enemies,
it, my friend.
other
It's
guys.
happened to you, and God love you. If I could cradle you right now, I would. But, yeah, I mean, seriously, the guy is just going home eating filet mignon night after night after night. And I don't know, he might have said for a brief second, hey, you know what? A little friggin' hamburger might not be bad every now and again, but guess what? He wants that filet again, doesn't he, Loshak?
The guy's head has got to be screwed up. He was already an inconsistent player to begin with. Now, he's doing these crazy shenanigans. The guy's head's got to be screwed up. I think we bet against Rory McIlroy in major tournaments until further notice. All right, and then the other issue, which might be a little bit less, have less of an impact, is Phil Mickelson being accused of insider trading, which is like, I mean, come on, man. The entire financial system is one enormous insider trading scam. The reason Phil Mickelson's being charged is because he's on the outside of it, because he's a golfer, not a banker. But forgetting about that, this is not the first time that this has happened to him, right? He has been charged with this kind of thing before.
Well, what always amazes me is these guys that just have more money than they will ever need and will be able to take care of literally generation after generation, somehow, find their way into these fiscal messes and these, borderline white-collar crimes. I just absolutely don't understand it. I mean, I don't know why. I'm sure they can have a hell of a, a finance guy that can put it into bonds or whatever it is. Who gives a damn what they're making? They have so much money to begin with. I mean, why even dabble in this? But you know what? It will now definitely be a concern because, I mean, he literally had FBI agents interviewing him literally as he was walking off the course. He kind of dismissed them and he told them to direct all their questions to his attorney. But if, I mean, that is absolutely, positively, definitely going to weigh on his mind. I mean, I think, I mean, it's not as salacious as the Rory McIlroy thing, but certainly it's going to get into his head. Absolutely. I think both of these guys are 86 from any consideration at the U.S. Open. However, I do have a long shot that I would like to share with our listening audience
For the U.S. Open?
I do.
Is it Harris English?
It is not. Personally, the guy that I like has been playing dynamite, baby. And I'm talking about Jimmy Walker, baby, 50-1. I mean, already won the U.S. Open this year. I'm sorry, already won the U.S. Open. I'm getting ahead of myself, Loshak. You already won the Sony Open in Hawaii and the AT&T Pebble Beach National Pro-Am. I mean, this is a guy that has been basically in the shadows and on the periphery for a good long time, but the guy has just absolutely come alive. And 50-1 on a guy playing this well. He's ranked number 1 in the FedEx standings. 50-1. I mean, why not put a few bucks on a guy like that?
All right, thanks for the pick there, Swingin' Johnson, and great call once again, and we will talk to you next week.